Hello, my little honeys. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to take a quick moment to invite you to share your own stories on the podcast. Whether it's an ongoing dispute that we can work through together or a story from the past, I want to hear both sides, okay? So if you're in the LA area or Southern California and up for a bit of a drive, and you'd like to come on the pod with your friend, sibling, coworker, mom, or even your neighbor's cousin's kid who stole your car, I'd love to have you as a guest. If you're not local, feel free to send in a voice note or write in with your story. As always, the more perspectives we get, the better. So DM me on Instagram at D is for drama for more info. Now let's get into the episode. Enjoy. Rise and shine. It's time for D is for drama.
D is for drama.
That's drama with a D. Today I am joined by
Jake Davis.
Jakey Tuesday.
They said we couldn't do it. They said it would never
They
happen.
said it never was.
Look at us.
It's good to be back.
We're back in the seat. My favorite co-pilot in the world. Shan, how you been?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm loving
been
the
a
show. It has been a
while.
while. When's the last time we saw each other in person?
Don't tell me it was Vapor Days.
I think, no, I feel like we had to have seen each other between then and Vapor Days. It might have been Vapor
I
Days.
think it might have been. That's
Well,
too long.
if it was, yeah, that'd be several months at this point. But I've been listening to the show, loving it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, the listeners have been very excited to have you on.
I'm so flattered by it. I honestly felt when I got out of the whatever it was we were doing before, I think it was either like QVC.
Oh,
It was-
yeah. We were co-hosts on QVC.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Selling knives.
Selling knives, turquoise rings,
Mhm.
fake
Shawls.
shawls. Oh, you're a great shawl salesperson.
Thank you.
It's impressive. Yeah. But once I got out of the QVC game, I was just kind of expecting the listeners to sort of, I don't expect anybody to remember me after I move on, but it's been very cool to get outreach from people and getting asked when I'm going to hop in and join you on this. And I'm just so excited to be here.
Yeah. So for those of you who were not avid watchers of QVC, Jake and I are friends from college.
Yeah.
Well, sort of.
We were associates in college.
Associates.
We were aware of each other's existence,
And then we became friends post
when
in Los Angeles.
we all our whole crew kind of landed out here at the same time, and we really started developing our friendship around then.
Yeah.
And very recently, I mean, something I had a blast doing with you was hosting that variety show at
my
Vapor
God.
Days.
So Jake hosts a party in the desert, and it is like a theater kid's dream.
Yeah, it's a big arts weekend. A lot of comedy, a lot of visual arts for people. We just try to make it as fun. And this was my last Vapor Days.
Last
this year.
Vapor Days. Yeah. I went 2 years in a row. There was 3 of them.
Yeah, call it a trilogy.
We hosted along with our friend Ken a variety show, and oh my God, just both years we had a fucking blast, doing it. I am on cloud 9 afterwards because the stakes are so low, so we're just able to have so much fun and be so silly and
just go for it.
And so yeah, we have these characters that when we first moved to LA, we did that were DeeAntonia and Giovanni, and it's like this housewife that lives somewhere outside of New York who is a bad cook but starts a YouTube cooking channel. And then he's my husband, but you only hear his voice off
I'm in
camera.
the other room.
Yeah.
I'm watching the Jets. They're terrible.
Oh, Giovanni, cut it out.
Hey, you're making your cooking show. And something I loved about those characters, I've tired very much on the sitcom trope of the schlubby idiot husband and the way out of his league wife that doesn't need to be dealing with his bullshit. And they kind of hate each other, and there's resentment, and then their marriage is just always hanging on by a thread any given episode.
Yeah.
What I loved about Giovanni and Dee was they did get on each other's nerves, but there was such a deep and resounding love for one another, and just how much Giovanni supported everything that Dee was always trying to do.
Yes.
That was what made the characters funny to me, because no matter how much they were getting on each other's nerves, there was always that baseline of I believe in anything you want to do. I'll fund any dream you have because I know you'll achieve it.
And that's what always pissed me off about I Love Lucy.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking hated Ricky Ricardo because I know she was not good and talented, and I understand not wanting her on your stage, but he was such a stick in the mud. Just give her some kind of part.
Figure something out.
Yes.
Come on. She's gonna. And I think that at a certain point, Ricky was a lunatic because he had to just kind of accept, she's gonna find her way into this.
Yeah.
She's like, you make your life easier by just creating a space for her to do her thing. Maybe let her do an opening 5 minutes to warm the crowd up. Why not? And instead, he just denied her and just created chaos.
Exactly.
And that's, I think, why we all loved Lucy on that show. That's why they call it that.
That's
why, because the audience
that.
loved her. Ricky didn't. Terrible husband.
Oh, terrible husband. Well, in real life, too. So last year, we hosted the variety show in those characters, and that was really fun. And then this year, it was just so fucking silly.
We just cycled through, like, I think we had like 9 different bits for each. It was something like that. It was a crazy count of just how many different characters we were doing throughout. But obviously the breakout, Stacy the Catman. That's, we still got to run with that ball. You threw me for such a loop when we were doing it, and I loved the turn that it took, because when I originally came up with the idea, for anybody who's familiar, Paula Abdul had this music video for absolute banger, Opposites Attract. I love that song as far as pop music from that era goes. But the music video was her and an animated Catman. Who was like a cool kind of guy. Yeah, it was a very cool cat. But it's just them dancing and singing about how they're just these opposite mismatched, but they're always having fun. And that song always kind of reminded me of our dynamic and how we like get laughs out of each other.
Yeah.
But I've always just found the idea of a pop diva and a Catman as her number 2 a hilarious concept.
Yes.
So my original idea for it was just like you being a pop star diva who's very popular and clearly like, oh yes, of course this is a character that makes sense. And then me just kind of being in the background with fake cat ears and sunglasses going, yeah, Catman. I'm a crime of science. And you took it and you started like adding on that your character had warned me about turning myself into a Catman.
Yes.
What was that? Well, you got me so hard on that one line.
So I wasn't really a pop star. It was like more of like a jazz. It was like we were a jazz duo. And I had on this like sequin top and crazy hat. And I was like, do you remember that tour in 94? And you said something like, oh, I tried to forget it or something.
I've asked you not to talk about this.
And I go, man, your dick was big then.
That's it. And when you're pretending to be a Cronenberg monster Catman already, it's kind of hard to get you to break. But I had to turn away from the audience and just like let out a solid laugh. It's like, I repeatedly asked, we don't bring up my dick.
So then it turned into like that we used to be like, or we were still married, but we used to be like romantic back in the day. And then you slowly, like through science, like morphed and made yourself into a cat.
The fame was slipping away.
Yeah.
Keeps the people talking about me.
And so then it was like, I wouldn't fuck you anymore because you were turning into a cat.
I told you not to do it.
Yeah. I told you not to do it.
Oh, that was so much fun.
And so yeah, we need to make something.
We got a lot that we struck gold with that one.
Funny.
I still will occasionally, like our friend Jared will still just occasionally randomly text me out of the blue, like, I'm a crime of science.
Well, happy to be back working together.
This feels so great.
Thank you so much for joining. Let's talk about the theme of today.
Yeah.
The theme is going to be
lock in or let it go.
Or let it go. And so it's kind of those situations where you either have to go all in and escalate the problem.
Do you give yourself over to the dark side of pettiness? Is it worth it to revel in the desire? I feel like everybody at a different time in their life has had that option on the table to really sink their teeth into something that they probably should just let go. And is that pettiness going to be worth it? Is that going to make your life worse, or is it going to give you some amount of satisfaction that you can ultimately be like, yeah, I was a little out of pocket with that one, but it was worth it. I'd do it again.
Exactly. Or do I just be the bigger person and let it go?
And usually that is what you should do.
But
Sometimes just everybody deserves it as a little treat.
Exactly. And so I had a little bit of a situation a couple nights ago.
Oh boy.
Where I was working this event in Beverly Hills, and I usually work with this one company. It's a clothing company that it's basically they just have like really swanky clients come in, and I just make them like, I pour them wine basically. It's like the easiest, best gig. And so I was working for their neighbors, and it was a very similar thing. It was a woman who she was a talent agent for branding, and she was running the event, and she was bringing in people to like check out this new spot. Her mother-in-law was from Sweden, and the guy that worked there was from Sweden, so they were just talking about Swedish food. Like, why can't you get good Swedish food here
Like, can you
in
not
the
get the
States?
salted fish?
The salted fish and the princess cake. And so then they were talking about this place called the Copenhagen Bakery or something, and it's here and it's close by. And so when they mentioned that, I was like, oh, I've been there. It's so good. And literally both of them turn, look at me, and then turn back to each other and continue their conversation. And I was like, oh, okay.
Fuck you too, then. How do you like that?
Get me then. Like, what the fuck? So then part of me was almost like, oh, I guess maybe like I was being rude for like interrupting their conversation. But
I don't know. I feel like that's pretty normal interjection, right? It wasn't like they were whispering. They weren't speaking in low tones,
no,
right?
and it was before the event started. They were just like chatting. And I was just standing there like with the champagne in my hands, like, you know, the tray. And so there was just like a part of me that like so badly wanted to just be like, well, fuck me. And I could have escalated it, but I was like, okay, this is like my first day on the job. I'm on a job. I'm obviously not going to say anything. But I was just like, wow, I've never been like that just immediately excused before.
When you're in a professional environment, it's always 99% of the time you're always going to want to just let it go because you're out of this automatic disadvantage. And that behavior did seem a little anti-worker to me. That did seem a little. That sounds a little like, oh, the laborer wishes to interject.
Literally.
This does not involve you, laborer. Return to your labors.
I know.
Swedish people are okay to make fun of. They're doing fine.
Yeah.
I think you did the right thing by not doubling down. I had this happened like 2 or 3 years ago. It was one of the first events that I worked for my current job, and we're talking to this one dude who's like kind of holding court, which is fine. I think we all do that from time to time at parties of just talking to a bunch of people at once.
Well, you're the king of it.
Yes, I do have fun. He did that thing where you pose a question to a group of people because you think nobody's going to know the answer to it.
Oh.
And it's just
Like
a way
a
to kind of
riddle?
set yourself up to like
know the answer.
and like present the. And I can tell this is kind of like a party topic for him. This isn't the first time he's done this conversation. Well, you know that design that's on all those cups from the 90s, the disposable cups, the purple and teal. Does anyone know what that's called? He put it out to the group. I wasn't interjecting. I said, yeah, that's the jazz cup design. And he takes a step back on his back foot and kind of like sucks his teeth and says, that's very good, Jake. That's very good. And then just goes on with whatever he was going to say. And this is like week 2 at this job. But I did like a little bit of that river water that's deep in my soul from Missouri came out a little bit. And there is almost this little like, oh yeah, pal? That's how it's going to be? Good for me. Good for me, huh?
Good
but I just
for
kind
you.
of let it go. Because again, like if I had the rapport and reputation at my job that I have now, almost 3 years later, that might have become me kind of taking the piss out of him a little bit after that. But it was an easy call of just like, I'm not even going to acknowledge that somebody just said that to me.
No, there's definitely like, especially in a work environment, you just really can't, especially if it's, well, for me, the first day on the job, it was just such like typical Beverly Hills kind of.
It's just, there's an air to it. There's a tone that you know it's not just because you did something that's a true faux pas, like interrupting. It's there's a divide between you and they wanted you to know that divide is there. And it's always really annoying when you're just trying to be a pleasant person and somebody tries to stick that barrier between
I was
you
just going to add a little cute antidote.
It's
Antidote? Antidote.
Somebody got bit by a snake. To get that
I
antidote
know how to
in
say
there.
That word. What is it?
Anecdote. It is a tricky one. Yeah. There's a couple of those that you just say it too fast. It's like, damn, that's not it.
Like whichever one that
English is dumb.
Yeah.
We really got out of pocket with some of these words.
We really did. And then the rest of the night, you know, when all these her like friends and family come to the event and they're all like, oh, isn't she just the best? She's the sweetest woman ever. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Could have fooled me. I thought I was a big old piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my first jobs in cannabis was working as a brand rep. Kind of similar to what you were doing, going to events and like hand selling the product. Very much a like, I am here to serve, I am here to be an employee at this event kind of thing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for me, the CEO at this company loved me. He thought I
Mm.
was the best. And the problem with that is anytime he decided that he wanted to have an event, he would ask for me to be the person at that
Mm.
event. And I would get maybe a max of 6 hours notice. And it would just be like my day off. And it was like, hey, yeah, he's asking for you to come and work this thing at this Oscar party
Oh,
or whatever it was.
shit.
It
Yeah.
would always be something like that where it's just like, we can't even sell weed here. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, it was just because he didn't want to be at this shit by himself and he wanted to just have somebody that he enjoyed talking with. And
Damn.
that kind of gets you to a point where it's like, I know you think that this is a compliment, but I'm a salary employee. I'm not gaining
You
anything.
weren't getting paid hourly
No,
for it?
I was getting that was part of like it was a important lesson for me at that time of like, oh, salary sounds nice until you're not working 40 hours a week
Yeah, and
and
you don't
you're
even get overtime.
exactly like that's absolutely a job where overtime should be on the
Oh,
table. And
that's
to
brutal.
keep that any younger listeners who are out there and you're entering the workforce, being salaried sounds so good until you have that first day where you're working 12 hours and you're not making any extra money for it.
I also feel like there's like this psychological thing that happens if you're working salary where it's like it's already built in. So it almost makes you feel like you don't want to work like extra or anything because at least when you have that incentivization, here we go again. Incentive.
Incentivization.
Is okay, great. To like for overtime and then you like you want to be there later because like you are making a little bit more money and then I don't know, it just feels like it wouldn't be as much of a fire under your ass to work extra.
VP of sales of my current company, I really like the way that he broke it down once, where he values salary employees who can get their job done in the shortest amount of time because that
Mhm.
shows you really understand what you're doing, you understand efficiency. If you're really good at your job, you can and I'd say this maybe only applies to sales. I don't think that this works in every other profession. I probably want my doctors putting in the full time. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I want a doctor being like, "Damn, I really figured out this surgery.
Yeah.
Cut some corners, sew that sucker up. He's good to go."
I'm clocking out.
I have got a golf game to go to.
That is really scary to think about how doctors are just human beings who like could be hungover during your surgery.
I've
Could have
never
just
thought about
gotten
that.
broken up with.
Oh my god. Jeez.
Can you imagine like having like I struggle if I had an emotional thing happen just to even podcast, let alone going and doing surgery on someone?
Yeah, thinking back to like the without getting too much into the details, one of the last like emotionally super heavy days that I had and having to do my job the next day and just the act of driving, me realizing like I have to be super present minded because I'm in my car and if I start thinking about anything, something bad could happen. I've never thought about that with a doctor. Imagine them just coming in of like, okay, we're going to get through this. Charlotte's gone.
Yeah.
Charlotte's gone and I've got to take this guy's kidney out. What about my kidney, Charla?
Why are you using my mom's name?
I forgot that your mom's name is Charla. It was just, swear to God, first name that popped in. Did your mom like break the heart of a doctor before she met your dad? I could believe that. You drop family lore on me. I will propose the most preposterous situation of just like, oh, what if I stole that jet ski? You'll just be like, oh yeah, my dad did that as a joke twice. Never caught him either.
I know. The lore goes deep. All right, let's get into the first story. My fiance, 32M, and I, 32F, are getting married in a few months. We have been dating for 2 years. When we first started dating, his sister, 25F, and I got along great. But when I asked her to be a bridesmaid, she turned me down. I assumed because she would not be the center of attention. Everything spiraled from there, and now we are pretty much no contact with her. She is a brat and creates a ton of unnecessary drama. Some highlights were showing up with no gift to our engagement party and not saying a word to us. She ran into my brother in public and was extremely rude to him. She and her boyfriend denied this happening and called my brother a liar. Now she is no longer invited to the wedding. This summer, we made an effort to see other members of his family, so we were spending our weekends meeting up for dinner. Naturally, the issues with his sister came up. I chose not to hold back and told them exactly what she did. I thought they should know how toxic she is and decide for themselves if they want her in their lives. Yesterday, I saw on Instagram one of my fiance's cousins posted a bunch of pictures from a girls' wine day. All his female aunts and cousins were there, and of course, his sister. I was so hurt that they wouldn't even invite me. It felt like the pictures were posted specifically to make me feel bad and show that they took her side. I am supposed to be marrying into this family in a few months, and they completely left me out. I reached out to one of his aunts that I thought I was close to and asked if my fiance's sister planned this. She said no, it was another aunt. When I asked why I wasn't invited, she said it was because of the drama between my fiance's sister and me. And they didn't want the day to be uncomfortable, so they chose to keep it just family, which hurt to hear that they don't consider me family. I asked if they meant that they took her side. She claimed no one was taking sides, and if I chose to take it that way, it was up to me. I ended the phone call very upset. Well, my bridal shower is in a few weeks, and I don't want any of them there. It's for friends and family, and obviously they don't consider me family, so I don't need them to be there. I want no drama at my shower and only people who are happy for me and love me. I am debating if I want them at my wedding, but I will deal with that later. I have a mass email written up ready to send, disinviting them from my shower. My fiance is fine with it. He can't stand his sister and is angry with his family. My maid of honor is trying to talk me out of sending it, saying it will ruin my relationship with his family and my wedding and upset my mother in law. But I think it's already ruined.
Ooh,
That's a good maid of honor right there, though. She's doing her job. She's
yeah.
putting in overtime.
She
She ain't salaried.
I mean, I don't know where you like. I feel like you might have more purview into this, the dynamics of just like relationships between women within extended families like this. But I feel like big goof here, and this is a when keeping it real goes wrong. Going to the rest of the family and not holding back and letting them
Mm-hmm.
know how you feel about this. They're her family.
I
They might all
know.
agree with you 100%. They might know exactly what you're talking about. But that shit's blood. Like
Yeah.
that she is their asshole. And they're no matter
Yes.
how much they've all pulled their hair out, if she's pulled stunts like this before, they're going, yeah, there are no sides because you don't even have a side to them. This
Right.
is like it's only the family.
Yeah, you need to be going to your own family with these issues.
Yeah, that's a good
Don't
take.
go and talk to your in-laws about it.
Mhm.
And, there definitely is a time and a place where you could maybe she's close with some of the aunts. So, there's probably a time where you could maybe talk to them privately. It sounds like she was holding court
Yeah.
at these dinners talking shit about the sister.
You nailed it of like you should be going to your people with this because then the
Mm,
way that you survive this like no if you open up your wedding to having more than like 8 people that aren't just the immediate family, there's going to be people there you're not crazy about because
mhm.
you opened up the guest list and now they're all there. The fact that this is his sister, she's going to be there no matter what you do.
Yeah.
It's I think so the way that you kind of level the playing field, if you want to be petty about this, you build up your side. You get everybody riled up about how much this gal sucks. And
Uh-huh.
then you have people that you can like exchange looks with and roll
Looks.
your eyes at whenever she's acting out at the wedding. And if you had kept your mouth shut, then the family would have, or the groom's family probably would have kind of quietly off to the side just been like, I am so sorry she does this all the time.
Right.
But because you went and made it personal by being the one to bring the problems to them, they see you as the problem.
Yeah, you're out villaining the villain. That's what one of our
Mm.
listeners, Clark, used. And I think that that's
And
the
that's not
perfect way to put it.
like dipping into that dark side of pettiness. You went about it the wrong way. You tried to get petty with the people who are only going to defend this other person because they've known her
Right.
their whole life.
And even if they do have those feelings as well, it's kind of like, whoa, I can talk shit about my sister, but you can't.
Yeah.
You're overstepping here a little bit.
It's crazy. I was thinking about that the other week where it's wild how you don't even have control over when that feeling arises, because there might be somebody in your family that drives you crazy.
Mm.
And then as soon as somebody who's on the outside says a word about them,
Yeah.
suddenly you do kind of like
Yeah, yeah.
straighten up a bit. And I've had to catch myself with that a few times, just like, as you know, we all develop our personalities and just how we respond to conflict and all that. I've had to realize that, like, I need to treat everybody the way that I want to be treated, right? And how
Yeah.
even if somebody drives me crazy, you are kind of giving people the green light around you to match that energy. So you got to be careful
Yes.
about who you're venting to, because if you have a problem with them talking about that person, you're giving them the green light to do it themselves.
Yeah, and it is tricky with in-laws though, or like, coming into a family because there is this whole like, well, you are family or like, and technically like you become family.
Hmm.
But there still is that line that kind of gets drawn in the sand. My dad and my mom, obviously, they got married and they're still married. My mom had a difficult relationship with her own mother, and then my dad had a difficult relationship with his dad. And so growing up, I would see both of my parents because they're defending their spouse
Hmm.
get riled up about their in-law.
Hmm.
I think it is a little bit like different of a situation to be in than if it's just like a friend talking shit about your mom, because you're there on the front lines of the battles most of the time, and if you're not right there, then you're hearing it like immediately after, or you're picking up the pieces.
Yeah.
So it is really hard to not take it and feel a type of way about that person who is treating the person that you love more than anyone in the world kind of like shit.
Yeah.
And so I grew up with kind of hearing shit being talked about, like the in laws sort of thing. I think with this situation, it almost feels like it's her battle more than it's her boyfriend's
It
battle.
absolutely is. And I was going to say, I think there's a certain level of entitlement here in how the wine day picture, right? Seeing that picture and being upset that
Hmm.
this family didn't pick you over the sister.
Yeah.
There, of course they didn't. And it is kind of wild to me that you thought that you just one vent session was
Hmm.
going to lead to this reality where this entire family rejected somebody who's been in it her whole life
Right.
by birth, and bring you in, this new person that they don't know from Adam.
Right.
Eh, that is crazy. And then I think you're also kind of setting your marriage up to be on hard mode immediately, because
Hmm.
good for your fiance. Great. He's taking your side. He is in an incredibly precarious position now, because now he is mad at his family for how they're
Hmm.
responding to this. And clearly, him and his sister have some kind of tension there. There's definitely some
Yes.
kind of, that relationship's not perfect.
Like he ran into them in public and they were rude to him. Like I do think that the brother is getting frustrated as well.
But I think that that's kind of on the fault of OP, because
Yeah, because
you put him in this position.
let's start from the beginning here. So she says that they get along great since the beginning of them dating. But then she asked her to be a bridesmaid and she turned her down. And OP goes, I assumed it was because she would not be the center of attention. Well, you know what they say. When you assume, make an ass
You
out of you and
you
me.
you stab yourself in the foot with a knife. Oh,
Oh,
that's a
right, right,
variation.
right.
Yeah, that's a different. I grew up in a Swedish household
Yes.
where
And so I think that there are a bunch of other reasons why she could have turned that down. She could just be being a bitch,
mm,
but maybe it was a financial thing or something. Like being a
mm,
bridesmaid, it does come with responsibilities and etc. I do think it is strange to not want to be in your brother's wedding.
yeah.
I can see how she would at least be offended by that. But you should have had a conversation or been like, ask your fiance to talk to his sister and be like, what the heck happened here? Why don't you want to be in our wedding? And then it just almost seems like stuff has like spiraled. And I can't tell who's the dramatic one here because
I
OP sounds dramatic
I think
too.
it's right up until you take it to the rest of the family and basically try to stage a coup within the
Yeah.
family to get the sister ostracized. that's when you are now making more of a problem than there was before. Because the perfect moment to let go here, if you just wanted to play it political and just get through this as smoothly as possible, is just take it on the chin when she said no to being a bridesmaid. Just
Mhm.
go, oh, okay, great. I have some other people that I could ask. I'm not going to think about this. And that's the tricky part sometimes,
Yeah.
is when you start thinking, that's when you start getting pissed off about stuff, right? You start thinking
Yes.
about the implication and
Which
what
it's
that
so
slight
hard.
means. I get it. No, it's such a process to actively prevent yourself from thinking
Mm.
about what that slight actually means. But if you just take it at face value, it's like, yeah, like you said, oh, it's a financial thing. She doesn't want to do the time commitment, which I kind of get. I've
Yeah.
only been a groomsman a handful of times, and I know that's way easier than being a bridesmaid. But it's,
Mhm.
I think that you do kind of have to just accept the reality of like, some people, they're not going to be able to do the bachelorette party. They're not going to be able to afford the tux. They're not going to be, or the
Right.
dress, or there's a million different reasons why somebody might not want to. And maybe the tension made it impossible to look past that.
Yeah, I think she should have given a good reason though. Like if it was
Yeah.
those reasons, but maybe it's embarrassing. Like, it can be embarrassing to admit that you don't have the money to be doing that. But I just sort of feel like, you know, if she wanted it to work, then she would have. And the fact that there was no telling of why she didn't want to be a bridesmaid, I can definitely see as the woman like starting to getting pissed off and getting hurt and feeling like, well, am I a part of this family?
I think you have to put time in to get there. It's like a job. We were talking about jobs and
Yeah.
like having that security of reputation built up a little bit. You
Mhm.
can't really come out swinging at the wedding. Jackie and I have been together for it'll be 4 years.
4 years?
But even after 4 years, I'm welcomed by her family. They love seeing me. Can't wait to spend the holidays with them. But I'm not in the family yet. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You gotta make it official, and you gotta be there for a little while. We're putting time in, and we're all learning what our true selves are every time we interact. You were basically still on your
Oh,
90-day
yeah. They
probation.
only been dating 2 years.
Ooh, great catch. You're engaged 2 years? I mean, good for y'all. That,
Yeah.
like, some people, hey, when you know, go
Some people
for it.
do it in 2 weeks.
But yeah, that 2 years is like, you are not a part of this family yet. You've got to put in time and coming out gun swinging, being like, hey, y'all, great news. Your daughter slash niece slash cousin,
Yeah.
huge piece of shit. Who wants to get on Kathy's train?
I mean, she literally says, "I thought they should know how toxic she is and decide for themselves if they want her in their lives." Babe, you're just telling your side of the
Honey,
story. These aren't
this
facts.
is. I got some bad news for you.
Yeah.
She sucks, actually.
You decide. Pick a team here, folks.
That's rough. I think that was the goof of this whole story was going to the family and thinking that you were going to like win people to your cause. You had to keep this on your side of the aisle.
Totally. And then also the fact that she took it so personally that they all were hanging out together.
Mm,
Like, I understand, feeling like a little bit left out and being like, oh, well, I was available that day. I could have come. But to be like genuinely pissed off that they were even hanging out with her
yeah.
is like, holy shit, were you just trying to ostracize her from her whole entire like blood?
What a mission. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see a lot of success rate with that. That's a very high difficulty.
I know. And then that she really thought that they were gonna, choose her over the family where it's like,
And even now, even if you completely back off of this, the damage has already been done. The perception of you has changed. You're seen as a troublemaker. You're seen as a pot stirrer now,
yeah.
regardless of how accurate your claims were. And I just feel bad for her fiance, who's clearly about his lady. He's trying
I
to
mean,
back
he's
you
on
up.
her side and he wants her to do it. He's fine with the mass email. You guys,
Foolish.
don't do it.
This is told you not to do it.
I told you not to do it. And
Oh,
also she goes at the end, like, but I think it's already ruined. Yeah,
it
you've
it
been ruining
you
it.
could make it worse. You absolutely could still
Oh
make this
yeah.
worse. The email is going to, you're putting it in writing for everybody to have something. The screenshots in that family
Oh
text
my
thread
God,
are
yeah.
going to be going wild. The fun aunt is going to crack that open like a cold beer. Just like, you see what this lunatic that's marrying into our family sent all of us?
And can you imagine, like, looking back, like, you're gonna be married, right? Like, you're marrying this man, correct? This is what's happening?
So you claim.
And you wanna be with him for the rest of your life. And so you don't think it's gonna be extremely awkward anytime your marriage or your wedding or anything comes up, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, yeah, that time."
The stain is there. That is a red wine stain on a white linen shirt. It's
You can't get rid of it. No
you're gonna
amount of OxyClean is
maybe
getting
it'll
that out,
fade,
honey.
maybe it'll, but it's always gonna be there, and you all know that it's all gonna be there. That faint little splotch of a stain, regardless of how well you maintain this. And honestly, I feel like one of the most freeing things that you can do, and it's so hard, but separating yourself from the anxiety of being left out. And I don't think anyone can ever truly master it. Nobody ever wants to be left out. But being able to just kind of recognize, like, okay, I would have liked to have been there, but it's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah.
That's so hard, and it's
Ugh,
especially
I know,
hard
I
to
need to
do with
learn it.
in-laws. No, we all do. It's an active process. I work on it actively all the time, and it's still something that you have to be mindful about. Unless you're
Mhm.
like really
Just
a
don't give
zened
a
out
fuck,
person. Yeah,
yeah.
it's hard to let go of that, but it is such an empowering thing for yourself to not take it personally when you see that you got left out of something. It
Mm,
creates a lot more room for, I think, developing better relationships with people, because when you have you ever had a time where you know that you're kind of leaving somebody out of something, but then
yeah.
when you talk with them about it and they're truly not bothered by it, you feel so much more security in that relationship because you know you can count on them to take things in stride and just move forward from it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a great way to build a rapport with people, to not take moments like that seriously, because they probably
Yeah.
felt awkward about it too.
Unless it's someone that's always doing it to you,
Oh, well,
though,
yeah, then
that's
then it's
different,
war.
right? Yeah.
Then it's like, why are you still involved with them unless they're your family, which unfortunately these people are about to be.
Right. And I would think that the lesson, I know that she's heated and I know that she has a lot of feelings, and, a lot of times your reactions are going to be a lot crazier than when you take a step back and kind of think about it and let the emotions die down. But I think that this should then show you, if they all go to the winery together and you didn't get invited and normally you probably would have been, is that, oh shoot, this is causing a divide now between the family, and I want to have a relationship with these people, and it's clear that now they would I'm now the one that's getting affected by it. Even though the sister might be a brat and everything that you're saying, I feel like this should be a sign for her to try and solve the issue with the sister, instead of then taking gasoline and pouring it
Yeah.
all over the problem and lighting a match and walking away.
If you approach the sister and you have that direct conversation that essentially boils down to, like, hey, if we can't squash the beef, let's at least address the beef and try to
Mm,
find some kind of medium that we can exist in. And if she rejects that and she doesn't want to have that conversation with you, you've now
mhm.
done everything you can, and you're just going to have to live in that weird nebulous space where you don't get along with your sister-in-law. But
Yeah.
you went.
But also, I'm sorry.
No, no, go ahead.
We were talking about this last episode with one of the listener voicemails, is that it's not really her responsibility. The fiance should really be stepping in. And that was what happened in the last situation, is a sister-in-law and a girlfriend weren't getting along. The sister-in-law literally blocked her. And we were just saying, this seems like this is the fiance's issue. It's his family. He should be the one stepping in, because he clearly also has issues with his sister
Oh, that
too.
I think that I think he's actually kind of using his fiance as a way to get
Yeah,
his
what?
shit with his sister
Yeah.
out. So there's shared blame here for sure. I don't think it's just the fiance. I think that honestly, I think that the her husband to be is kind of egging this on
Mhm.
because he's hoping that, and maybe that's why she feels so empowered. Now
Right.
I'm kind of taking a deep read here, but maybe
Mhm.
she feels entitled to do this because she's heard so much about the sister
Right.
from her husband. Because otherwise, what are you thinking bringing this to the family without any filter on?
Right. And again, clearly the fiance was backing her up during that dinner too, when they were all like talking shit.
Hmm.
So it just sort of feels like he should be the one that's like stepping in and being like, okay, whoa, 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 here. Like, I want you guys to get along. It all started with the fact that you didn't want to be a bridesmaid. What happened? Why don't you want to be a bridesmaid? if it's X, Y, and Z, all these other issues that are logical about time and whatever, then tell me that so then we can relay the information to her
Yeah.
so she's not taking it personally. But I just feel like, yeah, you're right. He's kind of like using her as his, like, the messenger that's going to get shot to do his bidding.
He's just shouting from the back of like, I agree with
Yeah.
everything she's saying.
Yeah, yeah.
She's saying it though, not me.
Exactly. But the fact that, I mean, they're both clearly very immature and are living for the drama. The fact that they are now like, actually, now none of you are coming to the wedding because they went to a winery one day.
Yeah, that is locking in nuclear fashion. That is just you are setting yourselves up to be the weird aunt and uncle that never get invited to the holidays.
Right.
That's you are now that you're only going to be at the things where they have to invite you, and you're going to know that nobody wants you there the whole time.
And then your kids are going to get those repercussions too.
They're going to raise those kids to hate that sister. This is a house divided. No two ways about it.
We need to nip this in the bud now, starting with your bridal shower. If you happen to hear this episode, even though the situation was probably from 3 years ago.
Oh, this war is still raging. It's still fresh. I think it's a let go.
Oh,
yeah,
for
it's
sure, a let go.
You gotta let go with that one.
Please, I beg of you. Well, because also, yeah, well, actually, I guess this was the bridal shower, but that clearly, if they're not going to be invited to the bridal shower, there's no way in hell they're going to want to shovel out like potentially $1,000 to go to your wedding or wherever it is, Like if they're not invited to the bridal shower after this nuclear email, even if you do decide to invite them to the wedding, I bet they're not going to want to go.
Oh my God. You're there that you might actually have. Thank you for bringing that up, because I think people will be bowing out of this already. I think that they just off of the move you pulled, all of that, I think you're going to have some of those more extended family members. Oh, we can't make it. Our dog has a graduation. I'm sorry. Our kid has a graduation.
Yes.
Our kid is sick and has to go to the vet. Whatever excuse you can think of.
And they're going to take it so personally.
Yeah, clearly, because everything is a personal affront in this house.
Comment said, and even if you didn't think OP was the problem, it would still be a mistake to uninvite anyone who went to that winery day. The bridal shower is a chance to win them over. Uninviting the groom's female relatives would, in effect, be starting drama with each and every one of them.
Damn.
Yeah, because everyone else is kind of like playing Switzerland right now.
Yeah.
And I think they were like, the aunt was being very fair about it. And she's like, we're not taking sides. The other aunt started it.
I think too, it's just, I love whenever anybody sees something that didn't involve them and their response is, actually, that whole thing was about me.
Yeah.
You all wanted to have a fun afternoon because you hate my guts.
Oh yeah, she literally said that they posted the photos just to get her angry.
Spite. to affront me? You post a fun picture at a wine day? Well, no wedding for you then. Harumph, I say. That's how I imagine this OP talks.
Yeah, like just so egocentric. Is that
it's very main character. It's very like the whole world is about me, and anything that happens that doesn't involve me is still about me. It's really tough to rehabilitate your image to these people. If you go as far as sending them a guilt trip email to say like, I don't want you at my wedding because you didn't invite me to Paso Robles for a delightful afternoon of drinking red wine in 87-degree heat.
Yeah.
Can you tell I'm not crazy about wine tastings?
Yeah, why not?
Because you have to leave after, and it's always out in the middle of nowhere. So
That's
somebody
true.
either has to be the DD, which I have met people who are fine with being the DD on wine days because they're, whatever, you just like the atmosphere.
Yeah.
But for me, if I'm going to the farm where they make like one of the booziest types of alcohol, yeah, I would like to leave very drunk because what else are we doing?
What else are we doing here? The actual main act is getting drunk.
That was I won't name names. We were invited to a wedding once where the day after the wedding, they did a wine tasting for whoever wanted to come. And it was like a while away from the wedding. And it's just like, oh, you guys, you needed to do this the day before the wedding.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you know
yeah,
that in
yeah.
your soul, you know,
that is
because
not a post-wedding
because as
day.
soon as that reception is over, I'm gone.
Yeah.
You had me up until that point. I want to go home and be with my cats. Thank you very much.
The only thing you can do the next day is just like a brunch with hangover food.
Yes, that's it. You've got until 11 o'clock for sure. And honestly, after that, like, why do you want to see anybody? Go on your fucking honeymoon.
No.
Call it a
Go
day.
have some romping, rip-roaring sexual intercourse.
Get weird.
Get weird, folks. Have some hotel sex.
I don't know. Go wine tasting. You kidding? That ceremony went on for hours.
That's crazy. All right, so we are going let it go.
That's a let it go.
That's a let it go. So I did a poll.
Oh, goodness.
And I think this sort of goes with the situation we just did.
Okay.
When you get in fights with your family, do you A, formally apologize, or B, brush it under the rug?
Oh, it's a formal apology.
Is it?
Yeah.
Every time without a doubt?
I think it's, and maybe it's different with siblings. That's the only, because I can't really speak to that. My stepsister and I have never been at odds, and we never lived in the same house, so we never had that like kind of closeness where we're getting on each other's nerves just by proximity.
Yeah.
But only child, anytime I've upset family members, I was definitely raised to always apologize first, apologize sincerely. And I don't mind doing it. I'm usually down to just like, nip it in the bud and like move on. But I think that the best way to keep everything copacetic and positive moving forward is to just show contrition, even if maybe you don't mean it 100%, but just showing that you care more about the relationship being good moving forward than anything else. It goes a long way. I get the sense that you are on the other side of this.
Well, definitely as an adult, it's changed. Like, and I mean, I've definitely gotten into some arguments with my sister and my mom. Not really my dad. Well, actually, yeah. As an adult, there's definitely more of like an apology type thing, especially because like we just don't live in the same household anymore. It's not the same as like, we get into like a heated argument, and then we go upstairs, and then we like come down and like, oh, you want to go to the movies? You know, like that was how it was when we were kids. Like my sister and I would always joke when we were younger that we like have never apologized to each other. But then like as an adult, I think we had to kind of grow up and do that. I have to ask my parents this of, like, did they, I feel like definitely they must have been like, you need to go apologize to your sister. But I think like once we became teenagers and they didn't have to like teach us as much. I think we more were just like, we just get over it. But yeah, you don't really have that luxury when you're older to have that same relationship of just being able to breeze past it. I mean, my sister and I can definitely be like short with each other, and then we don't have to apologize. Like we can be getting into like a little scuffle. But if it was like a big thing, like this one time in Thailand, we all went there as a family, like right before the pandemic, and we were fighting over something. We shared a hotel room together, and we were changing to like get ready for bed. And so she was like getting changed as we were fighting about it. So she was completely naked as we're still fighting. And we were drunk, and she was pissed off at me. And so she was butt naked, and she literally was like this, like a gorilla, pounding her chest going, come at me, come at me. Like that.
Family's terrifying. You radicalized Jersey Shore menaces. I cannot fathom being naked and being in an argument with anyone. I have to put on something to take myself seriously.
Truly. And
I think that's actually a thing that some couples counseling, I don't know if it's fallen out of favor and it's like actually not something that helps or whatever, but I've heard there being a thing where like if you and your partner are in a really intense argument, get naked because you're not going to be able to take the situation seriously. I've heard, so the fact that like y'all were just like, I am even angrier now. This is primal.
Yeah, it was literally primal. That was the word I was looking for. And I was not, though. And I just was literally like, okay, no
that
thanks.
Was your point where it's like, I'm not at this
like,
point of anger.
Already, I'm going to go to bed now.
Chelsea just went out and fought people on the boardwalk.
It was so cartoonish. It was really crazy. I was like, okay, and now I'm sober and I'm going to sleep. But then the next morning, I was like, sorry, like getting you riled up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said sorry because the fight was over something so stupid.
Did you apologize to each other while you were naked? Because the fight's not over if the fight happened while you were naked and then you apologize while you're wearing clothes.
We should have gotten naked.
You have to. That's the only way that you can actually end the conflict, because that was the place where it started. You have to bring it back there.
Okay. Well, first of all, I was not naked. Okay. For the record, I do not do that.
You don't do that.
No.
You're
rarely.
I can't remember his name on Arrested Family, the never nude guy. Yeah. With the jean shorts.
That's
24/7.
me. Yeah. No, I like am very rarely ever naked. Like it's uncomfortable for me.
Okay.
I'm like robe on immediately.
Yeah.
I'll sleep naked and shower, obviously, but almost immediately. Like some reason, I'm not one of those walk around your house naked type of people.
Yeah. I have like my hobo clothes that I'll walk around the house in that I won't go outside in, but that's about as close as I get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people love it. Not for me. I don't like that breeze, you know?
I like the breeze, but I'm with you on just preferring to have something on.
Yeah, cover up. There's too many windows in this damn apartment.
There's a lot of visibility in this place, that's for sure.
All right, so the poll was 26% said formally apologize.
Oh, wow.
And 71% said brush it under the rug.
I got some bad news for everybody in that 71%. There's a lot of uncooked beef still simmering underneath the surface. Y'all got salmonella in your families and don't even realize it.
Like a sorry goes a long way, folks.
And I think I feel like I said, even if you don't necessarily sincerely believe that you need to apologize, I don't mean like give out fake ass apologies. Yeah. I mean, make the apology more about regretting, and it's always that bullshit like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. But if you say in sincerity of like, I'm really sorry I upset you, obviously I have nothing but respect for you, and I just want you to know that it's way more important to me that you're okay than me feeling
being right.
Exactly, yeah, something like that. But I do think it's funny that 71% are just like, never talk about that shit again.
And then 3% said other, and I said to DM me, and we've got a couple DMs.
Yeah, what's the other in that situation?
If I get in a fight with my family, I will apologize, but I do want a resolution because the argument clearly didn't come out of nowhere, and there has to be a root cause of it. If I'm the one who feels hurt, I want to express why I feel hurt and why I'm either in the right or in the wrong, knowing I might not get an answer I want, but at least that way I stood up for myself and stood my ground. Plus, if I hurt someone, I would rather know so I can correct my future behavior.
Okay.
Great point. And someone else says, it depends on what the argument is about. Snapping at each other because someone ate something they shouldn't have, move on. An actual argument, yeah, probably apologize, but probably with a text of like, yeah, sorry, I was wrong, then move on. Formally sounds too official.
That first example of like, okay, yeah, somebody ate something they shouldn't have had. That's a very specific example for that person. Somebody's leftovers got eaten and it has never been addressed again, and the feelings are still simmering about it.
Oh, they're probably the one that does it. So they're like, let's just move on.
I've actually realized that is one of the few things that Jackie can do to me that I will have to like get a hold of myself over, of like, if I had leftovers that I was saving and they're gone, ooh, I have to be in control of my faculties on that one, because god damn, I wanted that pasta.
And that's primal too, if you think about it. It's like my food. Oh, I feel like that too. That's a really big, I mean, hey, and I have been known to take my roommate's food, but I will not take the entirety of the leftover, okay?
Jackie makes these, she's been making the cakes from Milk Bar. Yes, she got the recipe. She's fucking crushes them. She made one for my family, my mom and stepdad specifically, and we were out in Arizona, and they started talking about like the slices of cake that they were going to freeze and give out to other people, and I like, not my proudest moment. I got so territorial over that cake. I'm just like, why the fuck are they getting cake? We should get the cake. We don't need to share it. Share it with the neighbors.
Yeah.
Get out of here. What are they bringing us cake? Are we trading cake slices? Here's the thing. I don't even like cake that much. I like this cake specifically.
Yes.
You know I don't have a sweet tooth. For Jackie's fucking Milk Bar cakes,
Oh, forget
mine. I
about
don't
it.
want anybody else to have it. I'll leave it in the freezer for 2 months before I finally de-thaw it. I was like, yeah, now I'm ready for it.
Yeah. You need to savor it. Now, did you say that in front of them?
Kinda. Not in so many words, but that was
You were like,
that was
hold on a second, buddy.
both my parents kind of had a moment with me of just like, Jake, I've never heard you be so selfish about, and it's fair to describe that attitude as selfish,
Yes.
but just kind of doubling down on my one point, which is like, have you considered that I want
Yeah,
that cake?
we would want leftover. Yeah, what the hell? They thought they were going to take the whole thing?
It's I had already had a piece, and it's not like these things aren't huge. They're tall, but they're not big.
Yeah.
They're cylindrical.
Yes.
We found a happy solution, which
And they wanted to
was,
take half of it or something?
well, Jackie was offering to we were leaving the cake with them anyway,
Oh,
so it was more
okay.
of like, how much of the cake can we eat before we leave?
Oh, so
And
you just wanted a
I was
bunch of
being denied.
slices.
Yes, I was being denied more slices because they wanted to save the slices for other people that they were going to share it with.
I don't think so, honey.
Thank you, Shannon,
I'm
for
on your
having
team here.
my mom is definitely going to listen to this, and I want her to hear this part loud and clear.
Lock
Shannon's
in.
on
I
my
say lock
side.
in,
Lock in on the
honey.
cake.
But yeah, I actually do agree with this person that wrote in when it's just like a quick little, because still, like, even though I don't live with my parents and my sister, like, when we're on the phone, I definitely can be like snippy with them sometimes, and that doesn't ever require like a formal apology, because we all are just sort of, we let it slide off our backs, those things. Now, if I were to get snippy with my friends or even really my boyfriend like that, yeah, like sometimes it does require a conversation afterwards.
Yeah.
But with like blood, and I don't know, it's just like how we communicate with each other. But if it is something that's like, you're getting naked and you are pounding on your chest, I'm probably going to apologize the next day for riling you up.
You don't want to go to that place again.
No,
You don't want to go to that deep water.
that's a fact. All right. Well, should we do another story?
Let's do it.
Today, I fucked up by using my boss's bathroom during a party and breaking it. My boss hosted a fancy holiday party at his house. After a few drinks, nature called, and there was a line for the bathroom. I spotted a door near the kitchen and figured that must be a guest bathroom. Spoiler, it was his private ensuite. I did my business, flushed, and the toilet did not cooperate. Water started rising. Panic mode activated. I tried plunging. Why did he have two plungers? But things only got worse. At this point, water was cascading onto the floor like Niagara Falls. I panicked, shut off the water, and snuck back to the party like nothing happened. 10 minutes later, I hear him shout,
"Why is there water coming from the ceiling?"
I left shortly after, still waiting to be fired.
This is my nightmare. This is a deep-seated fear. I hate reading this because I felt that feeling when the toilet's even when it's your own toilet and the water's rising and it doesn't stop. Thank God there were two plungers. I am curious why there were two plungers.
I was thinking that too. I almost feel like
it's a bad toilet.
yes.
It's got to be a bad toilet.
There was clearly already a pre-existing condition. United Healthcare would have denied their claim. Okay, just saying.
Have you ever gone to the store specifically to buy a plunger and that's the only thing you buy?
Oh, it must be so embarrassing, like buying condoms
Because they
or
know
pregnancy
buying
tests.
buying condoms is just kind of cheeky and just like, I wonder what I'm getting up to. Buying a plunger by itself, there is an eye contact with the person ringing you up where they just know you're having a worse day than they are. It's like, I hope that situation isn't getting worse while you're here.
So yeah, this person
Is taking this to their grave?
I would say so.
You can never take ownership of this. If it's my boss's house, just me personally,
No.
I'm asking for permission to touch anything.
Yes.
It's just, is this the communal refrigerator? Is it okay for me to get drinks out of this refrigerator, or is there a garage refrigerator that I should
You can't
use?
go just wandering around at your boss's
It's
house.
a wild move.
You gotta hold your pee. And don't go wandering onto the damn.
I mean, let's hope it was just pee.
Oh, they did not say.
I don't know if
anything
I don't think they
about
would self-ID. if it was just pee, I feel like they would have included a like, don't worry, just piss. I feel
True.
like they would have included that, but I don't think they wanted anybody to know that a deuce was involved in this. So then you've got that in the mix as that's raising up out of the toilet. You die with this secret.
No.
You don't tell your partner.
No.
You don't tell the priest if you're
Don't
confessing
tell your
this.
work wife. Don't tell anyone.
This is a, even if you don't get fired for this, anytime there is a chance to give somebody the short end of the stick at work, you are being given that short end of the stick.
Oh yeah.
You're like, if I don't, I would hate to think about myself being a vindictive boss in any situation, but if somebody flooded my bathroom and then didn't run out of the bathroom and immediately be like, I'm so sorry. That was your window to tell them. Your window to tell them was while it was happening. And the 2 plungers were kind of the clue that this happens a lot.
Yes. And that's why I do think that the person would probably been like, oh my God, the boss would have probably been like, oh my God, shoot, this happens a lot.
You used the bad toilet.
I was not letting people use that toilet.
I should have put the sign up. It's on me that I didn't put the sign up.
Exactly.
You gotta lock in on this one.
I know, you gotta lock in, honey. But I definitely think like right away, I think as embarrassing as it is, you should have went and said something. But the fact that you did not,
you don't have a choice now.
You better hope there's no puppy cameras in that house.
Puppy camera?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh, for like pets and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought a nanny cam at first, and like puppy cam is decidedly less creepy than a nanny cam. But that's okay. Look, hold on. There's a whole new set of problems that you might get out of jail free here if there's a camera in that bathroom.
Yeah.
Because then it's like,
true.
yeah, now the shoe's on the other foot. Now boss is the creep.
That's so true.
Maybe there was one in the kitchen.
What if it's or like could
there's
see
like an angle showing you. Did I ever tell you about the time somebody took a shit in the closet at the Malibu Pier when I worked there?
Oh yeah.
I feel like I don't want to get too far into it, but basically because I forgot how relevant this is to this story. When I was working at this very posh shishi retail space at the end of the Malibu Pier, we had this day where when we were closing up for the end of the day and just going through it, we had this closet where we kept a bunch of like umbrella covers for these patios that were these like big fancy umbrellas we had out on our patio. And one of the employees goes in there, opens up the door, picks up the ladder covers, and like the shit falls out. He was wearing an apron, thank God, so it didn't get on him. It hit the apron. It's still disgusting, obviously. But very calmly, it's just like, hey, somebody took a shit in the closet. And it led to this like 3-day massive manhunt for the pooper.
And they wanted to catch him.
They wanted to catch him so bad. The people who own this shop, it was like their obsession for a week. But it was admittedly very funny that for all these security cameras we had throughout the entire shop, there was a blind spot on that closet. So we never had video confirmation of who did it. And one of my
chances?
It's pretty high when you think about like, hey, where should all the security cameras go? Just put them anywhere.
Yeah.
We don't need to make sure all corners are covered. One of my pettiest little joys was these like very snobby owners of this shop questioning me, sending me pictures of the security camera, asking me about who all these people were. And 3 people in a row, they're just like, who is this person? Who is that person? And like, that is Mike. He is one of your employees and has been for 8 months. Just getting to make them realize like how poorly they were acting as owners of this space.
Wow.
But yeah, if you look, I am definitely not the pooper in that situation. But if I was, no one would ever know about that. It would never be discussed again. And that's what OP has to do. Take it to their grave. Let the guilt rot your soul from the inside. Or, hold on, wait a second.
Hold on.
We've got the solution.
What is that?
When you quit, and if you want to go full petty, if you really want to lock in on this, no notice. And the last thing you say on the way out of that door is, I'm the one who got the toilet to cascade like Niagara Falls. It was me and my virtuous dumps that wreaked havoc on your private bathroom.
That cost you $5,000 to fix.
See you later, suckers. And then you jam up one more toilet on your way out. Really, really just put your signature on that place of the work. They'll never stop talking about you. You'll die a legend.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
live forever.
That's the way to go.
We die twice, once when our heart stops beating and once when someone says our name for the last time. You are keeping your spirit alive. Oh, you never heard that?
I am.
Yeah, we all die twice. And,
It's
well, a third time if you clog up your boss's toilet and have to take that secret to the grave with you. Then you die
I
3
know. I
times.
feel like I would be just full of anxiety thinking like, "Oh,
I
there was a
think
camera, there was a camera. I know there was a
I
camera."
know you. I think you would have torn out of that bat. I think you would have announced screaming like, I did. Somebody work the other plunger. We need 2 hands. This is a 2-hand job."
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think what I really would do. I think I would have to. Oh God, a boss though. I wonder what the relationship with the boss is.
That's a big key part of this. I think they left it out because it's probably neutral. If it was incredibly positive or incredibly negative, they probably would have
Yeah,
specified
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So it sounds like they really don't know where they stand with this boss. Now, me personally, I would have loved to have had the opportunity to say my favorite line from my favorite Christmas movie, Randy Quaid in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
What's that?
Shitter's full. You know, you ever see Christmas Vacation?
Like forever
Oh, you got it's like
ago.
personally, my money, best Christmas movie.
Okay, I'll watch it this
It's I love it.
Christmas.
It's fantastic. But I would have absolutely owned up to that shit. Literally owned up to that shit.
Yeah.
As soon as it happened, just because it's like, hey boss, I got some bad news for you. Gunked up the works. You're gonna want to
Yeah.
get a professional in here ASAP.
And I think also the fact that they left shortly after that.
Just tore out of there.
You're obviously the one.
That's a great point. I hadn't thought about that. Maybe in the fracas, nobody noticed your quick departure.
Yeah.
It probably would have been more obvious if you didn't hang around to wait for the why is the ceiling. No, I guess if you leave right when someone shouts, why is the ceiling leaking water? Then yeah, you are kind of painting a bullseye on your back. It's very clear who the reason is that the ceiling is leaking
I'm
water.
curious what everyone else, like if they were the first to go, because if you were the first to go, then I think it's obvious. And then you also leave everyone in the situation talking about that it was probably you.
Oh my God. Now you have to wonder if, like, does everybody know?
Exactly. So that's why it's like, keep your friends closer, your enemies closer. You got to stay there and hear what everyone's saying. Stay longer.
Subterfuge.
Yeah.
They wait for the first person to leave and just be like, I saw
it was
him.
them.
I saw them.
I saw him.
Yeah. Wait for your frenemy at work. Paint a picture. Leave. Create discord. Yeah.
Maybe even stay the longest.
The last one
Be
there.
the last
I can't
one.
believe they did that to you. Have another glass of wine, boss. Is it cool if I use the bathroom?
And just plant all the seeds.
Yeah.
Or like that episode of The Office where he keeps making up rumors about everyone. Like tell each person someone different and confuse everyone.
Right. Yeah, create so much uncertainty that no one knows what true or isn't anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, because once the boss screams, why is there water coming from the ceiling? I mean, you just can't.
I wanted to call that out too. I think the boss knew why the water was leaking. Ceiling was leaking water.
Being a dick.
They know why. It's the toilet that you have 2 plungers for.
Yeah, why the fuck else would you have 2 plungers, buddy?
Unless you're some kind of pervert gets off on 2 plungers.
All right, so we are going
lock in, take it to your grave.
All right, we have a listener voice.
I'm so excited for this. I love this feature.
Hi, Shannon and Jake. I have a crazy story from my study abroad days, which now seems petty and silly, but at the time was definitely intense. So when I was studying abroad in the height of COVID, I was trying to have fun. I hung out with the other international students, and there was this one girl and guy who were kind of a couple, but the girl said they weren't official or anything. So one night at a party, her and I were messing around a little bit in the bathroom, and basically the guy walked in on us. It caused a whole feud, and basically he was saying that she cheated on him, but he was mad at me and not even mad at her at all. So then he convinced the entire group of the other international students that I was like some kind of homewrecker, even though I was literally drunk on St. Patrick's Day, just making out with some girl. And because of that, They literally refused to talk to me the rest of the time I was there and totally ostracized me. So I don't know, maybe it's some international thing that's different, but I'm curious how you guys would handle a situation like that where you're kind of left out of a group, and if you think what I did was shitty or just having fun.
Oh, that fucking
Yeah,
sucks.
this is a classic situation that I think happens all too often, and I don't know where you've landed on this, but as soon as I was like old enough to be in the dating world, it's silly. I mean, okay, granted, there are some situations like if you're best friends with the person or whatever, if there's trust already built there or whatever, but if
Mhm.
you're just kind of like a random in these people's lives, you can't be mad at the person that your partner is cheating with,
Yeah, you have to be
especially if
mad
they
at
were
your
yeah, if
partner.
they were told, "Oh, we're not official or anything, this is fine." That's the only kind of information that you can work with. And I think that this dude was trying to save himself the uncomfortable reality of, "Oh, this person that I love is cheating on me." So instead, you paint this other woman as the villain when you're not. You're not 100%. You were just having fun. Who good for you. You were told, "Hey, we can make out." Make out you did. And then this dude couldn't handle it and got all upset.
It's not your responsibility as the person who is getting the information that we're not
Oh,
exclusive.
what are you supposed to do? Like, okay, just give me your driver's license, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna draw up this agreement really quick. I'm gonna go talk to your partner, get his
make
driver's license.
sure.
Just get your John Hancocks on this real quick, and yeah, then we can go get weird in the bathroom.
Exactly. Well, I did follow up with her and I asked a couple
Oh,
questions.
great.
I said, "How much of the semester did you have left studying abroad and how did you handle being ostracized? No one was on your side at all? And did the girl that you were making out with follow suit too?" She said, "I had like 3 months left and ended up leaving early because I was so
Oh, I'm
alone."
sorry to hear that. That
I
sucks.
know. I came with one other girl from my school who I thought would have my back, but she didn't either.
I think did we get how old they were when this happened?
Well, college
College, that
age.
was
Yeah.
yeah, so it sounds like everybody was afraid of being on the out group, and it was probably
Yes.
more to do with everyone fearing their own ostrification. That just sounds
Yes.
like they're turning you into an ostrich. That's but that sucks, and I think that I feared being ostracized by groups so much coming up, and now, especially in limited time windows like that, and I think you unfortunately don't realize this until you've been through it a few times. Ultimately, most of these relationships boil down to have a great summer written in your yearbook, and you never hear from those people
Right.
again. So
But it feels so heavy at the
it does.
time and
Yeah,
it
you
feels
think it's
like
going to
this
be
is your
forever.
world.
Yeah, and you're never going to grow past it. But the power of realizing how temporary these connections are, and when you've been unfairly turned into a villain, that's a great time to lock in and just be the villain. Start making out
Yeah.
with everybody. Start becoming a little
Yeah.
tart.
Be a
Seducing the
home
fuck.
wrecker.
Seduce him next.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you he would have been down. He was mad that you didn't come for him and instead picked the
Oh.
girlfriend. That's my read.
That's a clean read to me.
Yeah, it sucks that happened, but you did nothing wrong in that situation.
She also said that the girl she made out with completely cut her off and encouraged everyone to be against her too. So
Yeah,
you
because
know that she was just like trying to, you know, win her boyfriend or whatever back over.
yeah, she
Like,
got
look
out of
how
jail
serious
free.
I'm taking
Yeah,
it.
she.
Oh,
I hate that. Just somebody, it, the person who is very clearly at fault, just completely juking the responsibilities and the consequences of their action, just letting you
mm,
take the fall. When again, like you can't fact check, and that's. I mean, I guess you can, but it's weird, right? To just like walk somebody by the hand over of like you guys aren't seeing it. Just so you cool if I go
yeah. When
with them, that's fine.
exactly, like when you're in the heat of the moment of like, a sexual rendezvous, that's the
That
last
makes it
thing you
sound so
want to
much
do.
more fun. Oh, rendezvous.
Rendezvous.
That's a great word.
That's a
Beats
great
the heck out
word.
of anecdote.
Oh, it sure does. By definition and by
It's got a
pronunciation.
Z in there. That's hot.
It's a little
It's
French.
a little French. Although I will say with the French, Colonel, what the fuck is that? There's no R in Colonel. Why we
That's
got
a
to say it that
terrible
way?
word.
I hate that word so much. Colonel, the
Colonel.
military rank, not Colonel as in a kernel of corn, which
Popcorn.
is how we should spell the military rank one. I'm getting off
Yeah,
base.
but then don't you think that would totally devalue his position if his name was
Or her.
Like popcorn kernel.
Colonel could be lady too. I don't know, because then you get into how British people say lieutenant like lieutenant. And that took me forever to realize that a lieutenant and a lieutenant are the same thing.
I don't even think I knew that.
Yeah, that's
wow.
It's
you learn something new every day.
Yeah, but I look, especially when you're abroad and you're in your early 20s, like, yeah, okay, some people meet that young and they fall in love, whatever. That whole window of your life is about getting sloppy and taking some risks. You did absolutely nothing wrong.
No, that's what you were supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and dude's just mad that he wasn't drunk in a bathroom making out with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. She also said in the midst of it, she had booked an Airbnb for her 21st birthday, which already sucked to celebrate in England where nobody cared. But I invited the international students because I had nobody else to ask and ended up crying alone all night.
Oh, that's awful. Big monument birthdays like that are always so tough to pull off. It's like New Year's Eve, right? It's kind of like
I was literally thinking that when I was talking to her about it, because I was like, you had a worse 21st than me and I got dumped. And I was literally going to say to her, like, it feels like New Year's Eve where it's like it needs to be such a big thing, but
it's never going to live up to
that. It never lives up to the hype.
Yeah. Well, that's a bummer. I think the people I'm most annoyed with in this situation are the people who picked sides.
I know.
Instead of just being like, yeah, dude, like, they made out. Who fucking cares? Like, get over it a little bit.
And she literally thought that you guys weren't exclusive. So what does it matter?
And maybe that's our Arizona State coming out a little bit, that we're just like, yeah, you should all be giant sluts right now. What are you talking about?
This is the time of your life. Embrace it.
Why weren't you all making out in the bathroom?
All 85
Everybody.
of you.
Same at the same time.
Yeah. Has this ever happened to you though, where you were ostracized from a whole group?
Not since like high school, I think, or like maybe even like going even back further than that. And that's why it's so weird to me, because like even by college, I feel like most people were just kind of like, hey, that's your business. I'm not getting in the middle of that. Like,
Yeah.
I can't remember a time where, maybe I think probably the best example I could think of would be in mid 20s, early adulthood, essentially, when somebody was in a committed relationship that was heading towards like, we want to be partners for a long time, and somebody cheats. But that is so much different than somebody at a party just being like, yeah, hell, I don't know, fucking thing.
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
kiss all I want.
Exactly.
Fucking Becky. I kiss whoever I damn well please. Get over here.
Yeah, and then she has the audacity to then
try
ostracize
to
this girl.
throw her in front of the bus that had Becky's name right there on the front of the destination panel.
You did nothing wrong.
Clear.
And I don't even know how I would have handled this situation. I guess.
What I'd do?
Honestly,
I'd find him on Instagram, send a what up? Like a ghost from the past. Be like, you want to go again?
Oh, like now?
I ain't done with you. Get back over
why
here.
Why don't you bring it back up?
Man, that was
put
crazy,
a little drama
right?
into your life.
We got unfinished business, you and me.
Yeah. Yeah, the only time that this happened to me was at ASU. I joined this club volleyball team my second semester of sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone had already bonded because they had all started in the beginning of the year, and they legitimately like would not talk to me. I would be in the beginning of practice. We would be like, putting our shoes on and stuff. And I would be like asking how their weekends were, and they'd be like, good. And then they'd turn away from me and like legitimately would not talk to me at all. And I was like, I've never felt this way in my whole life. I have no idea what I did to these people.
For the prestigious Intramural of Volleyball Association
literally.
of Arizona State.
They were so stuck up too.
The idea of anyone being stuck up at Arizona State is wild.
It's an oxymoron.
You went to the wrong school if you want to have your nose up in the air. It smells bad. You're going to want to put that sucker down.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and same thing. Like I finished out the year, but I ended up not going back.
Yeah,
so
why would you?
I honestly probably would have done the same thing as you, like left early. It's so shitty, and that
such
sucks
a tough
so
situation.
bad.
Yeah, and I think
especially at that age, like I wouldn't have had the guts to stick up for myself, and I probably too would have then started almost believing them and being like, oh my God, maybe I am a bad person.
What if I am the problem? That's all. And that
Yeah.
we should always be willing to have those conversations with ourselves and do self-examination. And I think sometimes we're a little too forgiving with ourselves where it's like, well, I'm asking the question, so clearly I'm not the problem. But if you can do some honest self-assessment and figure out, like, would I have done this if she had said that they weren't a thing? It sounds like you wouldn't have. That was clearly a key piece of
Yeah,
information for you. So you were just acting with the reality that you were living in. I
totally.
don't think that there's any reason for you to have done anything differently given what you had on hand at that time.
Yeah. And fuck your friend that you went there with that took their side. That's fucking
Yeah,
bullshit.
it's a bad person. I hope somebody clogs their toilet up. I definitely would not have handled that the way that that guy handled it. I think that it's very obvious who you should be mad at in that situation.
I know. And I almost wonder if there was like a little bit of, no, I don't know, like homophobia in there too at all.
I don't think that that's a crazy read. I don't think there's enough there for us to be sure, but I think his ego might have been bruised
Yeah,
that she was.
ego.
But then again, if it had been with another dude, he would have been
Maybe
just
done
as
the
like,
same thing. Yeah.
I do, but now I do remember I had friends in college who would constantly hook up with each other's girlfriends or like whoever they were seeing, and then be mad. They would both do it, and then they would be mad at the girl that did it with their friend instead of their friend, but they both just kept doing it to each other.
Wait, what's that? No, say that
So
again.
like one friend A is dating a woman, and then friend B hooks up with that woman. And then later on, the friend A hooks up with the person that friend B is dating. They would do it. They would be like a new girlfriend, and then friend A would hook up with that person. And every time it happened,
back and forth.
yes, and every time it happened, they were mad at the partner instead of the friend who kept doing it. And it's like, is this your fetish? Is this just the thing? It's just like,
must be.
Yeah, fucking she.
It's like a jealousy thing or something.
I love you, dog.
Yeah, or maybe they're just in love with each other.
You fucking cucked me, dog. You cucked me so good. Cucked me right back, dog. Fucking love this. I'm mad at her, though. I'm mad she did that to me.
People are crazy.
I'll tell you who that was when we get done recording.
Okay, yes, please. We are so sorry that happened to you, and I hope nothing like that.
You deserve better.
Ever. You really do.
I wish nothing but clogged toilets on all of them for the rest of their lives.
Amen to that. Let's end it with a little T Swift action.
Uh-oh.
My 27F coworker, Emily, 27F, sold me a Taylor Swift Eras Tour ticket last November for one of her shows later this year for $700. Expensive, yes, but the seats are fantastic. Just at the end of the catwalk, 7 rows back or something. I have been a huge Taylor Swift fan for a very long time, and I felt like I had hit the jackpot when she sold me my ticket because I know how disgustingly overpriced tickets are currently reselling for. Before Emily sold me the ticket, she had it up for sale on StubHub for $2,700, but nobody bought it. I knew this when buying the ticket and assumed that once I had bought the ticket that she would take it off of StubHub. A few weeks ago when I saw Emily in the office, she told me that she had forgotten to take the ticket off of it when I bought it, and someone else bought it earlier that week. I didn't think too much of it because I figured that she'd have to just contact StubHub to explain that she didn't have the ticket anymore, and that would be that. Well, today I got a DM from Emily telling me that I need to send the ticket back to her. Apparently, StubHub has a policy where if someone sells a ticket they don't have, they're on the hook to pay for a similar replacement ticket for the buyer at an equal or greater amount than the price it had originally sold for. This means that she'd likely have to pay $2,700 or more to StubHub for her mistake. She was apologetic, but I am devastated. I've grown up listening to Taylor, and I am a huge fan. Going to this concert truly meant so much to me, and I can't afford to see her anywhere else other than my city. I am so sad. I haven't answered Emily's message yet. She has offered to give me half of the sale profit for sending her the ticket back so I can maybe find another ticket. I want to ask her for all of the profit so I can at least have a fighting chance at a nosebleed seat or something. I don't think it's right for her to fuck up the way she did and still make a profit from this.
I think that there's a very simple question you got to answer on this one.
What's that?
Do you want to see Taylor Swift in concert? Or do you want to have this relationship?
Yeah.
Because you do not get both.
That's true.
It's an either or. And if you Sounds like you're really passionate about seeing this show. So if you're down to just have somebody you work with hate your guts, because that is, I do not see them having anything but like maybe not ill will, but they're definitely not speaking positively about you to anybody. So you kind of got to make that choice. And I'll give props to the, even though like person who had the ticket did fuck up and like that is on them. They are ultimately the person who made the mistake here. Them offering, hey, I'll give you half the profits for this ticket sale. That's a pretty good place to start.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
because then you would be making $700 in profit to then potentially be able to buy a ticket, but you would be buying a way worse ticket. It sounds like she has floor seats.
That's
it's
crazy.
At the end of
and that is a wild value. I know what those Eras Tour tickets are going for, and that's crazy that you were able to get it. So it's just
my question is though, why did the coworker sell it to her for $700 to begin with? Because she did say it was on StubHub for a while at that price at $2,700. So I'm curious why. I mean, I guess she was just like, it's not selling.
Trying to recoup some loss and just fire selling it. And then to your shock, it's sold at the price that you were trying to get rid of it
and
for.
Honestly, maybe the coworker even didn't make a mistake, but she actually did leave it up there. Maybe hoping and didn't know that the StubHub rules that she would be on the hook and was just like maybe hoping that Emily would just be nice enough to like give her the ticket back.
That paints the ticket holder in a much worse light to try to like run a scam there. So I don't know if I can work under that assumption on this, but I think that you really just have to. And I think I don't have any artists that I would be I don't think I would drop $700 on any concert.
I would either.
And I know that that's a steal. I'm not saying it's not worth it, because if you love an artist, like you want to see them live, and I mean Eras Tour sounds like it was crazy, but I haven't heard anybody say it wasn't one of the best shows they've ever seen.
Totally.
So I get the desire to go, but you are gonna just have to make the choice of like, I know you probably don't feel like you're the asshole if you hold on to the ticket, but by just taking it at face value, you are kind of being an asshole a little bit, but it's
for asking for full profit, because it seems like she's not even debating on keeping the ticket. It sounds like she just wants the whole profit
to try and get another ticket.
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of a silly ask. I don't think you're going to get that. It really just comes down to like, do you care about this work relationship enough to, sacrifice the thing that you want? So like half of 13, so you're getting $1,350. Yeah, you're almost getting an additional $700 on top of it.
Right.
I'm so bad at math. It's $1,350. Right. Okay, yeah, okay.
I think. Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
I did it. I think I'm right.
I think you're right. But the other thing is that it was the coworker's fuck up, though.
It was absolutely.
So,
so it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things where like they absolutely did fuck up. This is their fault. It's just up to you if you want to be magnanimous and bummed out that somebody else's fuck up cost you this experience. And, if you want to think about what's in it for me kind of thing, like what can they offer you to, because you do kind of have them. Like if they want this ticket back, maybe you can like up the asking price if you want to go that route. I don't know.
Because you could technically not even give
That's what I think.
Back.
That's what I think your best course of action. If you just want a torpedo, if you don't care about this relationship and you want yourself some T-Swift, just take the ticket and go to the show. They are never going to forgive you, and they'll never look at you the same. But if you want to see that show, that's what you got to do. Because even by the sounds of it, you're not going to find another ticket for $1,350. I mean, maybe you will. Like they even said the nosebleeds, and I know
I'm trying to look up like how much they were. $700 looks like it's like the cheapest one.
Right.
$485. The most expensive is $12K. I don't know.
$12K. Okay, that makes
something
sense.
Here says $700 to $24K.
Yeah, that's where I've seen prices getting up over $20,000 for private boxes or whatever else.
Well, and then someone else here says that they paid $125 for the nosebleed or something.
And that might always depend on the venue, because then we're talking about obstructed views and like selling seats that like they tell you up front of like you're not even going to be able to see the stage.
Yeah, you might as well just be watching it on Disney Plus.
Right.
Yeah, I guess your options are Ghost her. If you want to lock in, ghost the fuck out of her. And then you see her at work and
it's really just a matter of how important this relationship is to you and how important Taylor is to you.
Yeah, I feel like somebody else was like, there was a comment that was saying, like, if it was a friend, I would say return the ticket every time. But if it's just a coworker, I could easily see the Eras Tour ticket outweighing that relationship. But I'm sorry, like, you have to face this person every day of your life. Like, I feel like people undervalue having good relationships with your coworkers or your neighbors. Like, some people just torpedo their relationship with these people because, like, they don't care about them. But it's like, dude, that's someone that you have to deal with on a regular basis. Your friends, you can go months, sometimes years without even seeing them. Like, if you're, especially if they live like across the country. And of course you want to be good to your friends because obviously you love and care about them. But I think it's so important to have good relationships with your people that you're facing every day.
Yeah.
You're going to have so much anxiety going into work, and it is not going to be worth 3 hours of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I get that you're a super fan, and it, it could feel amazing in the moment. It's not going to be life changing and if it is life changing, then you can quit your job and try something new. So then maybe it is worth going. But I don't know. I think maybe you could. I wouldn't ask for 100% of the profit because she also did buy this ticket and she's trying to resell it. So it's kind of crazy to just be like, well, give me all of it. But maybe she could be like 2/3, 1/3.
That's where you get into haggling. So if you want to try to up the asking price, I think you're within your right to try that and see how
Being like,
receptive
hey,
they are to
you
it.
kind of were the one that fucked up.
Asking for the full transfer of profits, little pie in the sky to me. Like, you got to have a give somewhere because I think part of it too, even though you didn't do anything wrong, you were benefiting from basically this person's desperation. So
True.
it's not like, I think it all comes back to like, what is your rapport with this person? Do you consider them a friend outside of work? Because there's such a big difference between work friends and no, we're actually friends. Like, one of my best friends now is somebody that I worked with for a good period of time.
Yeah.
And even like when we were still at the company, I never described him as a work friend. He was my friend. And there is a big difference there. So if this is just a work friend, yeah, maybe try some haggling, maybe, play your advantage a little bit. Or if you want to go to a show and just never talk to that person again,
there's that option too.
You can go that way.
Someone here says possession is 9/10 of the law.
Sucks to suck, dork.
Yeah. I said, I'd tell Emily that I already sold it on whatever ticket site for a profit, so you don't even have to give it back. Okay, now we're lying. So now you have to hide her from your stories.
That's also so villainous to just be like, oh yeah, you were a sucker. I bought that on the cheap from you and flipped it.
I personally would just probably give it back. I don't know, because I think I would be like, well, you are the one that like fucked up, but I'm so conflict averse that
I'm not conflict averse, but I am a very pick your battles type person. And in work environments, I'm very, very careful about which hills I die on. And I've kind of made a rapport for myself at my current job of being very laid back, being very go with the flow. I don't get ruffled over much. So the 1 or 2 times where I've really dug in on something, people take it a lot more seriously because they know I'm usually down to just be like, yeah, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
So it just comes down to like, if you're comfortable with being an asshole to this specific person, you're free and clear. Go nuts. I don't think you're actually really doing anything wrong, because if you didn't know this person and you just got their ticket from a secondhand website, they wouldn't even be asking you this. But they're cashing in on the fact that you have a personal connection to try to miss the consequences of their mistake.
Because for the coworker, it was a mistake. Like, she messed up. I know I was saying earlier, like, oh, maybe she was like doing it to see if she could get more profit, but playing it as it lays, she did just not forget to take it down. She forgot to take it down. And so she already, say she bought it for $2,700. She sold it to her friend for $700. She's out $2,000 already. Out $2,000.
Yeah.
And now she's going to be $2,700 more in the hole, right? Because she has to find another ticket of equal value, which sounds like she could have even been, that even was a deal. I don't know. The numbers are weird because of, when you buy it and resell it, inflation or
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah. The economy.
Yeah. Thanks, Obama. So whatever. Sounds like she's going to be in the hole like 5K? 4K?
That's foolish.
Like 4K?
It's just under 5. I'm pretty sure.
Like
we'll let the math experts out there figure it out for us. Basic addition.
But that's really rough. I don't think I could do that to someone.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would just have taken this on the chin. I don't think I would have roped in anybody from work either. I think that this would have been exclusively to my social circles or the mongrels on the internet.
Yeah. Oh, what do you mean? Like talking to them about it?
Or just selling? Like, yeah, I would not want to do business like this with anyone that I work with.
Yeah, because you get into dicey territory.
Like this.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think as OP, I don't even think I could enjoy the concert knowing that I've put someone in like 4 or 5K in the hole. And even though it's their fault, I guess I didn't put them there. They put themselves there, but I just don't know. I can't enjoy myself when I've.
Yeah, you have to be built a certain way to be able to vibe on that. And I'm not even condemning it. Like I'm honestly kind of jealous of people who can just like take the win like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, you just kind of got to decide what's more important to you and go with your gut.
And then you got a little something on her. So then when you need to cash in a favor later.
Oh, if you give the ticket back.
Yes.
Yeah, that's.
Then it can be like, hey, remember that time?
Yeah, if you give the ticket back for the agreed pitch of, hey, I'll give you half of the profit.
You're making a little bit more.
You
money.
add an asterisk and, legally bind it however you need to.
Yeah.
Like, you owe me one.
Yeah, you owe me one, babe.
And because that favor can be worth way more than a T-Swift concert. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Maybe it's worth 2 T-Swift concerts. I don't know how that would happen, but maybe.
No, it's true. So I would either maybe ask for a little bit more of the money if you want to go that way. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't do full profit. I would ask for a little bit more, or I would do the half and then just keep that in the back of my mind.
Yeah, I'm with you.
She owes me a little something. So we're saying let it go.
Let it
with an asterisk.
Asterisk on it, just of like, look, if you don't care about this person, do whatever you want. But if you want to keep your work life as healthy and stress-free as possible, probably let go.
Yeah. That's what I say. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Jake.
Oh, Shan, thanks for having me.
This was so wonderful.
Always a pleasure.
And come back on Christmas Eve. He'll be there again. We're doing a little mini app.
Yeah.
Please remember to rate, review, subscribe.
How could you not?
Come on.
What's so busy?
5 stars.
Do it while you're driving. Yeah. Don't. Wait till pull over to the side of the road.
Pull over right now, wherever you are.
I don't care if I cut people off. Yeah. Don't use your turn signal. There's no time.
And follow me on Instagram and TikTok and watch on YouTube. See our beautiful faces.
Yeah.
And on Instagram is where you can take the polls. And also DM me if you have a listener voicemail, or you can do a write-in if you don't want your voice on it. But thank you very much for listening. And remember, you can't spell drama without D.